In this video, we're going to talk about the first of three garbage collection techniques that we're going to look at in detail. The first one is mark and sweep. Mark and sweep works in two phases, and it's called, not surprisingly, mark and sweep. So the mark phase is going to trace all the reachable objects. So when memory runs out and we stop to do a garbage collection, the first thing we're going to do is go and trace out all the reachable objects. And then the sweep phase is going to collect all the garbage objects. And to support this, every object is going to have an extra bit somewhere in it called the mark bit. And this is reserved for memory management. It's not going to be used by anything except the garbage collector. And initially, before we start a garbage collection, the mark bit of every object will always be 0. And then it's going to be set to 1 for the reachable objects in the mark phase. So when we mark an object, we mark it with a 1, and that indicates that the object is reachable. So here's the mark phase. It's going to be a work list based algorithm, and so initially our work list consists of all the roots, so all the initial pointers held in registers. And then while the work list, the to-do list, is not empty, we're going to do the following. We pick some element, V, out of the to-do list. We remove it from the to-do list, okay? And then, this is the crux of the algorithm. If the object V is not already marked, then we mark it. Okay, so we said it's mark bit to 1, and then we find all the pointers inside of it, all right, and then we add those to our work list. Okay, so everything that V points to gets added to the work list. Now, if V is already marked, well, then we've already processed it and we've already added all the things it points to the work list, and so then we just do nothing. There's no else branch here. We just drop it from the to-do list. So once we've completed the mark phase and every reachable object has been marked, then the sweep phase is going to scan through the heap looking for objects that have mark bit 0. And the sweep phase is just going to march through all of memory. It's going to start at the bottom of the heap and walk over every object in the heap and check its mark bit. And so any of the objects that it finds that have mark bit 0, they were not visited in the mark phase and they're clearly not reachable. So all those objects will be added to a free list. And as we go through the memory, there's one other detail that's important. Any object that has its mark bit set is going to have its mark bit reset to 0, so that way it's ready for the next garbage collection. So here's pseudocode for the sweep phase, and this little function size of p is going to be the size of the block, the size of the object that starts at pointer p. All right? And as you'll see, this is actually the reason that we have the size of objects encoded in the object in cool. So remember that in the header for cool objects, there is a size field. That is so the garbage collector, as it's walking through memory, can figure out how big the objects are. Anyway, we start at the bottom of the heap, and while we haven't reached the top of the heap, we do the following. We look at where we're pointing, and then we'll always be pointing to the beginning of an object. So we check to see if the mark bit of that object is 1, and if it is, well, then it was a reachable object. So we just reset its mark bit to 0. Otherwise, if its mark bit was 0, then we're going to add that block of memory, okay, which is the size of the object, to the free list. And finally, in either case, okay, we're going to increment p by the size of the object that it points to, so we point to the next object. And we'll just repeat that loop over and over again, resetting the mark bits of things that were reached and adding things that were not reached to the free list until we've touched every object in the heap. Here's a little example. So we're starting out here with a heap, and we're going to assume there's just one root for simplicity. And here are all the objects. Initially, their mark bits are 0, and we do have a free list, initial free list over here. Notice that there's a little bit of memory that is on the free list. Okay, so after the mark phase, what has happened? Well, we've gone through and touched all the reachable objects. So we started with A, and of course we set its mark bit to 1, and then we followed pointers reachable from A, set the mark bit there, follow the pointer reachable from C, set the mark bit there, and so we wind up with A, C, and E being marked. Nothing else is marked. Okay? And now the sweep phase will go through memory. It's going to reset all the mark bits to 0. And as it finds unreachable objects, in this case B and D, it's going to add them to the free list. And so what will wind up, the free list will wind up being a linked list of blocks of memory that are available for future allocations.